I got my banana. It's crispy and I got a whole ton of water. We're getting for the long haul, guys. Just turning all the buttons on and doing the things. But welcome to the 32 Boys 1 Cup. It's the semifinals, and we're so damn close to picking a winner. Before we even get into this semifinals, I want to give a big shout out to each of our sponsors. Thanks in part to Chairs for Gaming. You can find them on Twitter or on, well, I guess on Twitter at Chairs for Gaming, but also their website is chairsforgaming.com. They sell DX racers to Canada and the United States only. It's a little bit sad for the supporters who look at DX Racer elsewhere. The nice thing is, though, if you order from these guys, you get free shipping and $20 off if you use promo code BaseTradeTV. CM Storm, cool enough. All they really want is some Twitter interaction. So if you guys want to hit them up on Twitter, give them a thank you for supporting the tournament. You can find them on Twitter at CM_esports. And last but not least, guys, these are the newest sponsors to the arena. They're, I think, testing the waters of this tournament. I hope that over the last month and a half, they've gotten a bit of, at least a bit of extra traffic and users from us. But Proxy.gg, what do? They're kind of like an esports betting website, but no real money is involved, just simply points and cool things. So if you want to check out the website, it's very similar to our Partoof system here on the channel. And of course, if you use promo code BaseTradeTV, you'll get 20 free bread, which is their point system. But getting into this, spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, it's going to be the blue Terran player, GumiHo.
Nipper writes as the red Zerg, Samsung Galaxy's Solar.
Who was expecting a 2x out of GumiHo. Now, I can't blame him for this. It's not like a waste to ever scout for 2x. He did check all the typical locations, but I don't know. We've seen GumiHo really keen on playing that late game more than we've really seen GumiHo play a bunch of cheesy matches. But it is Overgrowth. I mean, this is like the map.
It's like it's Overgrowth and it's the first game. You know, if GumiHo's down 2 games, I don't really know if he does it. But you know, if especially if you figure your other 2 games are going to be like 60 minutes long, maybe you 2x the first time. Maybe you get that free, easy, quick win.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of GumiHo matches. I just swapped the overlay. There we go. We've seen a lot of GumiHo matches. We got to see some really cool games on maps like Deadwing. Basically, any map where you can secure a 4th, you're probably, as a Terran player, going to really enjoy watching GumiHo. He likes to play mech. He likes to go for battle cruisers. He likes to do what he can to just really abuse his race, rather than, say, abuse with cheese. Solar, on the other hand, though, as much as I love watching GumiHo's success, and apparently he's got this, I didn't even realize that he's like 9-1 versus Solar or something in recent games, but GumiHo's not the one with all these tournament victories, right? Like, I look up there and it's like, Solar's the one coming in 2nd place here, he's winning there, like, DreamHack champion for goodness sake, right? Like, whatever the case may be. Whereas GumiHo, I'm like, where's your wins, bro? Like, good player nonetheless, but just doesn't have the same results.
Well, as far as I know, unless he's getting knocked out really early, Gumi doesn't really participate in a lot of foreign events.
No, he definitely doesn't. But I'm just saying, like, that's where I see the stark difference in these guys. Whether you turn your nose up at a foreign event or not, it's the fact that Solar's got wins, he's got money, he's got a lot of tournament experience. Like, Jesus.
It's not turning your nose up at a tournament, a foreign tournament. It's acknowledging that he doesn't have a chance.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's definitely those crowd of people who are gonna be like, oh, I heard the word foreigner.
I guess so. I guess they still exist.
It's really sad too, because you see the negativity brought forth a lot of the time in a lot of these Reddit threads and whatnot. But anyways, with the Reaper kind of dancing around, he gets 1 build cancel out of Solar, nothing too crazy. Solar managed to defend with 4 lings, so really playing it as close to the vest as he can. It might not seem like a big deal, but even just squeezing out that 1 extra drone can really help here in the early game, because for Solar's sake, of course, you don't want to play a little too greedy versus GumiHo. Again, he'll hit you with Hellbats when you're not looking, but at the same time, you want to get that 3rd up as soon as possible. You want to crank out every mineral possible in order to do so.
Looks like GumiHo's gonna go for maybe a Viking into something, or just a medevac, and go ahead and do the marine drop. How many marines does he actually have? Oh yeah, I think it's time's up with a marine drop. So we used to see this. Yeah, we used to see this every single game, pretty much. At least once in every single TVZ series, sometimes 2 times, sometimes even like all 3 games, man. Like, really common, but it's kind of fell out of place. I mean, you certainly still have all variations of 2 base builds, Hellbat, non-Hellbat, medevacs, you know, even some like, you know, racks, combat shield pushes. But this one was super popular, and mostly because it didn't rely on doing direct damage immediately. Because you always have that medevac, and you know that amount of Marines actually do a lot of damage if you just look away for 1 second. This is a nice scout by Solar, actually. I'm looking to get in, but seeing that composition alone was enough.
Yeah, I mean, seeing anything more than 2 Marines is always a little bit, I guess, worrisome, so to speak. But he's not bringing the Hellions with us right away. There we go. I was gonna say they're fast enough to catch up, but still, hopefully he wasn't going to just go for some blind drop. Solar, though, did take the approach to go for Roaches. We usually see Banelings and larger amounts of Queens be the response to this. Roaches can still work because these Marines do not have stim. But of course, the question is, what do you spend where? He's actually had to split up his forces a little bit here too. Needs to deal with the 6 Hellions here at the 3rd, but also has to drive off this drop. It looks like he has split to be exactly what was necessary.
You could say that just by making these Roaches, because he made, what, 7? He made 8 Roaches, that's already an investment. GumiHo does look to be going towards mech. You know, he got an armory 2 minutes ago, not necessarily, but it's around 9 minutes, and he has an armory, no stim. I think he's going to go ahead and go for it.
I was going to say, I think it's the lack of stim that's the bigger tell here. You don't want to be going into the game 9 minutes deep and have no stim even started. That's gonna sting just a bit.
Oh, that's a lot of Hellions. That many Hellions, they're all going to turn to Hellbats too. GumiHo in the past has been rather good about, you know, actually being willing to let just Hellions say Hellions, you know, like 4 of them or whatever, if he sees an opportunity to. Does change all of these into Hellbats though, and of course a Banshee coming in here is going to add a lot of DPS.
Now Solar didn't get too, I guess, stingy here on the Roaches. He did keep pumping out a couple more behind us, as we see cutting around quite nicely. Roaches though, without that Roach speed, still gonna, even on a creep with that bonus, have a hard time cutting these around. If you can whittle away enough of the Hellbats, you can take on those Marines no problem, and later worry about that Banshee, but he's got to chew through these Hellbats first.
Looks like he will chew through the Hellbats. Fortunately, the medevac was not healing them for a very long time. A little bit of a Miss Micro went down, and so this push is deflected. Of course, he killed a lot of Roaches, and the Banshees are still alive.
He killed the Queens. There's no anti-air right now for Solar.
Yeah, Solar might have been expecting a secondary ground push, but he was not expecting the Banshees.
Well, the Overseer does come out. There's going to be Queens coming out one at a time. Problem is going to need more than just 1 Queen. I mean, already Banshees fare pretty well against 1 Queen, much less 2 Banshees. So Solar's got to be a little bit careful how he uses his units here. This kind of sucks because this really cuts into his droning, but at the same time, he is still in this game. This push out of GumiHo was pretty dedicated. Had Solar gone for like some sort of big counterattack, there's no siege tank at home, and the Roaches, quite frankly, might be better off doing that because singing at home, all they're doing is taking fire from the Banshees.
Yeah, and this is kind of
snowball.
Yeah, but Solar's he's doing what I think he intended to with these Roaches. 1-1 is finishing up, and he is going across the map, so he's gonna have to give up the 3rd. It looks like there's 1 Spore Crawler isn't gonna be able to actually take down all of these Banshees. Yep, bring around the Rosie it is, but the Solar, I mean, the Roaches are on the other side of the field. There's only 1 Banshee, a handful of Marines. That's not enough to hold off this many Roaches.
Oh, the depot almost compromised there. He does just break through it nonetheless. But you're right, like 1 Banshee, okay, this will eventually clean up the Roaches. They should be able to get some decent kills out of this, but if those other 3 Banshees come home, these Roaches don't stand a chance in hell at getting any real damage done.
Oh, he did kill the 3rd. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, he's just rebuilding it behind it. So the Roaches didn't catch a lot of the SCVs, sadly. Just trading out for what is... That Hellbat, by the way, has been picked up several times in this medevac. Barely staying alive from this Roach fire. Kind of like when we see players like Immortal Micro, but... Yeah, this is confirmation of mech behind this. Gotta kill some SCVs to make this worthwhile. Sadly, not getting that many. Just transferred back, but, you know, the wall's down and more Roaches are coming. Banshees, though, look at this damage, though, guys. Like, this is ridiculous. 4 Banshees just shred Roaches.
Yeah. Looks like he evened up the worker supply. I mean, he was always going to have more, right? But taking into account 3 mules. So, 11 SCVs killed for Solar, only 8 for GumiHo. But as, you know, a mech player with 3 bases, 11 SCVs really isn't that big of a deal.
Well, I think the biggest thing for Solar, like, regardless of the actual worker count, he got time to get Hydralisks out. He really didn't have a way to deal with these Banshees. Had GumiHo actually not come home with those, yeah, he would have taken some losses, but it was snowballing so hard. Solar just, like, there was no way to deal with that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was better to have the Banshees come back home I still feel very good in this game for GumiHo, though. Supplies are still pretty even, and Zerg, you know, as long as they have a good drone count, they have a way of just suddenly skyrocketing up, turning 20, 30, 40 supply. But with that third being dead for as long as it was, the Banshees are still able to do harassment, even with Hydralisk out in the field. I mean, they catch a couple of stray Hydralisks. The Hydralisk are at the third, not the main. They're not the fastest unit ever. And he just, like, you know, GumiHo is just, you know, now he's the one that has a lot of time to go ahead and get, like, you know, tanks, Hellbats, stuff to defend against Solar's eventual +2 push. It looks like it is only +2. Let's do weapons, it is.
Yeah, this is where it gets to that scary part of the game. Like, 3 bases is pretty decent for GumiHo to be on when you're fighting against Zerg, generally speaking. This when you get your ground forces up, just like you finished describing. But for Solar's sake, it gets scary. Like, at this point in the game, it's not even the pressure of this third, it's making sure GumiHo never takes that fourth. If GumiHo takes that fourth, that's when we see those double stargates come down, or sorry, starports come down. Get protests on the brain here, and that's when we see this go to hell for Solar really quick. Infestation Pit on the way. Of course, the biggest question is going to be, you know, is he going to use this for what's possibly eventually Swarm Host, recognizing that's mech, or maybe Blinding Clouds. Personally, I think Blinding Clouds is going to be a little bit better, but oh, Solar without speed is going to have a hard time escaping the wrath of this army.
Yeah, and they're not Hellbats, they're Hellions, so they will chase down the Hydras.
Yeah, it's not
good focus fire as well.
The problem for Solar is he does trade out a lot of his gas-based Hydralisks for mineral-based Hellions. Not a ideal situation.
Scan goes down in the 4th, and GumiHo's probably feeling pretty good. He has another unit checking the other 4th. It's possible that the gold was taken. It's actually really possible, but GumiHo may be guessing that's not the case, and well, now it is the case, so Solar just plants it down right here. But GumiHo, I think, I mean, he's still making Thors. Yeah, I feel like he wants to do that, like, you know, that push, you know, when he's maxed out. I don't know what he thinks he's, what he is expecting to find when he does the push, though. Like, is he thinking that the Swarm Hosts are on the way? Did he scan the Hive? I don't think he has.
No, he was scanning the fourth, so he didn't have the energy for that. But he'll see this eventually, of course. Now, the question is, like, what is he going to see this with? Will he actually scan this ahead of time? Will he realize, oh, those are Blinding Clouds on my army? I mean, at which point does this actually get revealed? I'm loving, by the way, this new mod thing where you can see the scan on the minimap. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so useful.
Please, I hate, like, having to hit the vision of the player and try to guess, like, where that scan went down. It's always, like, it's awkward, but...
Did he just kill his own Viking?
Yeah, gotta free up that supply, maybe? I don't know.
Well then, alright.
He was rebel in the army. He didn't want to cause any trouble.
Speaking of the Vikings, this amount of Vikings are now not only useful for potential Muta switch, but they're going to be very useful for the Vipers. They might even kill the Vipers where, like, you know, too many Blinding Clouds go down.
You know, the tanks are normally what I would say would be the threat of this army, but these Banshees are quite scary. Solar's going to take a good start to this fight, though. He's going to clean up these Thors almost without question. But again, this comes back to those Banshees. There's no detection, and there's no way to really pick them off.
Yeah, I mean, he killed any Overseers in the air with the Vikings. He should lift the Vikings just to deal with the Vipers.
I don't know,
but
he kind of needs the buffer for the Thors, I feel.
No, the Thors are going to die anyways.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Thors are going to die anyways. I was going to say, like, you know, maybe not, because seriously, the ground army for Solar is not that impressive, so Blinding Clouds, like... Blinding Clouds are really good, but you still need your own units to really take advantage of them, right? So maybe he was okay giving away the Vikings, but no, he lifts them up again. He finds a great position on top, or on the bottom of the 4th. And there's the last 2 Vipers for Solo going down.
Yeah, it really sucks. Such expensive units, something he can't really afford to replace at this point. Keep in mind, Solar's not invested in Zerglings at all, guys. There's no way for him to just flood these minerals, and he needs gas. He needs just about everything at this point, quite frankly. And while this did start off as a good engagement for him in that last fight, this is starting to go downhill really quickly. These engagements are not trading out well for Solar at all. GG.
GumiHo, a little bit of